Welcome to your area focus meeting for Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast. Thanks for coming along on this lovely Monday evening. Really appreciate it. It's part of our Constitution focus meetings for consultation. If you don't know me, I'm sure you do. I'm Lizzie from NZPCA, and tonight I'm not joined by any board members tonight. So um, but if we've got any questions that we need to defer to them, let me know. So you're number six and number six in our areas so far. So I've introduced myself, so I'm going to call out the names, or no, actually, I was going to call you Sam. Felicity, you can call out people's names, and if they just introduce themselves, just who they are, where they're from. I forgot to say, I have been through Pony Club as a rider. I have been a mum at Pony Club, the one that didn't volunteer, didn't put their hand up, got annoyed and realised that I wasn't doing anything. So then I ended up being a branch president, then a club DC, on the area committee, and then I stepped away from Pony Club, and now I'm back in a different role. Okay, so if you don't mind, Felicity, introducing yourself and then doing the screen.
Yeah, I'm Felicity Hart. I'm involved with Waimea Pony Club, and I'm helping with the area and with the championships and trophy that's coming on up. So I've been involved because my daughter's riding, Samantha, who's hiding from the screen, but she is here listening as well and being involved tonight as a rider. Cool.
Hi,
so next she's a chicken. I'll put her around. There you go. So she is here making you do it. She's trying to do homework at the same time, but anyway. Who's the next one? Just introduce yourselves, I think, guys, and where you're from.
Rachel McNichol, Secretary, Golden Bay Pony Club. Been involved for 20 years, no children at all, but enjoy the aspect of that, helping out.
Anne Mackenzie, been involved with Golden Bay Pony Club for over 30 years as a treasurer.
Trish Redwood. I'm not sure how long I've been involved with Archery Pony Club. Life member. I forgot putting that.
Right, Terry Chalmers.
Yep.
Kaikoura Pony Club. I've been a member since I was 4, so it's over 50 years. And I'm DC.
Yeah, kia ora. Jenna Neem. I'm DC of Motueka Pony Club. Was a member many moons ago, took a 15, 20-year break, had a child, and I am back for my sins.
Hi, I'm Penny Jones.
Hi, I'm Julie.
It's okay. You're right. Go, Julie.
Next?
Yeah.
From Kokotai Koirangi Pony Club and just out of Hokitika. And I've been involved with the Pony Club through my daughter riding there for about 7 years. And I'm the treasurer, the DC, and the area rep. Just a small club. So if you
pause, please.
There.
Kia ora, aroha mai. I'm wrangling children and finishing work and telling them to turn the TV on quiet so I can hear you all. I'm Amy, and I'm from Motueka Pony Club, and I'm just a general lackey.
Yeah, I'm Penny Jones. I'm from Greymouth Pony Club, and I'm the area coach for show jumping and eventing, and that's about all at the moment.
I'm Emily Simpson. I'm the DC of Waimea, and I've been involved at Pony Club for 13 years.
I'm Jenny Burko from Waimea Pony Club. I am on the committee in various roles, and my daughter rides at Waimea Pony Club, and I was a member in my youth at Tapawera Pony Club, which no longer exists.
Hi, I'm Anna Weeks from
Waimea Pony Club. I don't think about that then. Been about involved at the same time as Emily. 3 girls who are still at Pony Club. So we seem to have been in it for the long haul.
That it? Oh, got one more.
Hi, I'm Susie from the Cockatoo Pony Club. I'm the president. I was originally a member of the Ross Pony Club way back in the day. That's no longer around. And then my eldest daughter, Nikita, was a member of the Cockatoo Pony Club. And then had a wee bit of a break, and then had another batch of kids. And now my daughter, Maya, is a member of the Cockatoo Pony Club. So been in and out of Pony Club for quite a number of years, but not, I've just been a pole picker-upper over the years. And now I'm just helping out as president.
Fantastic. So for the last two that just came in, we're just introducing ourselves. So is there anyone else to introduce themselves?
Oh, hi, I'm Christina. Oh, hang on a minute, you can't see me. Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm the president of the Greymouth Pony Club, which I took on last year to fill a gap, and I'm here for another year. So I'm really just facilitating moving through the new constitution so I can help somebody else get themselves comfortably under into the system. So I'm really just a kind of a fill-in, really.
No, thank you for being here. Is there anyone else to introduce themselves that hasn't yet?
Sorry, it's Mich. I haven't. Have you, Kiri?
I haven't
sorry,
either, but
Michelle,
you
I'm
go.
late.
You go.
Sorry, I'm running late. I've only just joined. But yeah, I'm Michelle Campbell I'm the area secretary, just in case anyone doesn't know. Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Kiri from Awatere Pony Club. I've basically been in Pony Club like Terry since knee high to a grasshopper, starting in Greymouth and then moving through to Marlborough, so a little while.
Excellent. And we've got, oh, sorry, was there someone else? Okay, and we've also got Marie, who's a silent listener. Okay, well, thanks for coming along. We'll get started. If you have any questions at any time, just pop your hand up, or you can use the raise hand button at the top. As I said, I don't have any board members joining me tonight, so I'm trying to, control the screen and make sure I don't miss anyone. Need to share the screen, that's probably the first thing. So thanks heaps, as I said, and this is just a recap of so far and basically a focus on to what it means for Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast area. And I've got my dog helper holding my hand here. He's like, Mum's been away. So what's on tonight and our purpose of our sessions? So it's a recap on two things that we're doing. So alongside the Constitution update, which we have to do because of the Incorporated Societies Act of 2022, the board decided to look at the same time of a structural review of becoming a 3-layer organisation at the same time alongside the updating of the current constitution. So we want to discuss tonight what this would look like as a 3-layer organisation versus a 4-layer organisation. And I must say that every area in New Zealand is completely different. So you will be getting the slides as well, guys. I will PDF them and send them to you. Plus the recording will be available. So what it would look like, if it would look any different for you. Share the process and the timeline if a change to the structure was voted in by our members at the national AGM, and also share the process and the timeline for updating the constitutions as per the Incorporated Societies Act. So that's what's on tonight. We're definitely in a consultation phase. So we're wanting feedback from all our members, our clubs, our areas, our branches and our committees, but definitely the membership, we'd like to hear their voice. Our feedback deadline is the end of May, beginning of June, and I'll show you a timeline soon. And your feedback will definitely help the final version of our constitution. It's definitely not a rubber stamping exercise. And if there are smaller things that you think we've got wrong in the constitution, in the update, this is also your time to voice it. But the meeting specifically is looking at the structure, but I will go over some of those minor, those other changes later on. And the final vote on any changes that will be taking place are at the national AGM in August. Okay. So why are we doing this? So when Kelly and I were working on our intro webinars, we felt that the concept was rather abstract, and the board had been living this since October, but we felt that we really needed to show areas what it could look like for them, because as I said, it's not a one size fits all, because every area is completely different. And I'll talk about your area in comparison to other areas a little bit later on. So if we were to remove one layer of the Pony Club alongside updating the constitution, how this would look and how it would fit for practice. And for some places, it wouldn't be any of a change, depending on what you guys decided you wanted to do. So we know it's difficult to vote on something that feels conceptual or you don't have a lot of information. So this is really to understand how structural change would affect the day-to-day operations, how it would affect any decision-making authorities, any event coordination and delivery changes, any communication and reporting lines, and how we at the national office and the board would support our volunteers and members. So hopefully tonight we'll be able to achieve all of this in our session. So basically, why now? And this is a slide the board normally does. So it felt like it was an ideal time to review our organisation structure, because we have to update the constitution completely. Unfortunately for the board, it wasn't just a marked change from current constitution to the new constitution. The template that we've been provided by Sports NZ, because we're under the Sports NZ umbrella, was just too different. So they started with that, tried to look at marked changes, and it was just getting too messy. So thought, okay, we've got to update this all. We've heard from our membership over time that we need to look at taking out of a layer. We've had feedback that there's a volunteer burnout. We've had feedback that there are not enough people out there taking committee roles, can't fill committee requirements. So this was the time to go, is it time to have a rethink? It's not about getting rid of any members or anything like that. So it was decided to look at it at the same time, because then any structural changes would be reflected in the new constitution. We have had people say, just do the constitution and come back to it later on and do a rewrite. Sounds great, but just the time of doing that, where we thought we'll take a bit of time now, see if it's what people want. If it's not, we can change tact. Our whole aim, of course, is to future-proof New Zealand Pony Club, to improve the clarity of the Pony Club and streamline the administration. But I must jump in here and say, New Zealand Pony Club is still a strong organisation. We still have over 7,500 members. So this is not about a declining membership. I do know that in some areas, clubs and branches, they merge, they get smaller. It's part of the cycle. You know, but it's saying that it's not like it was back in the 1990s or the 1980s. So we're aware of that. So the Constitution basically is the governing document for the entire organisations, but it is not an exhaustive list of membership rules or regulations. It just basically lays out the skeleton of how we run our organisation, the procedures and the powers and all the essential functions. It outlines the membership types, it outlines our discipline, procedures, and it's a draft for discussion. So this is not the constitution that areas, clubs and branches would be having, but it reflects, their constitution reflects this constitution. As I said, it's not the rules for certificates, it's not the rules for eventing champs or Champs Week, but I need to say here, events will continue. We have no aim to see our events die or to disappear, but we are reviewing our events, and you guys did a fantastic job with eventing champs. You know, you had so many individuals there. It was amazing. Great to see. And then, you know, coming second as well and taking out the A1 title. Amazing. And this is definitely not the final version at all. Okay. So I'm just being inundated with all the animals in the house. It's like mum's home. Let's annoy her. Go. So this is a timeline of change. And if you came to the first sessions, you would have seen it. But what's happened over these sessions is the timeline has developed with descriptors on the top. No dates have changed or anything like that. So where are we now? We're in May. And so we're looking at our area focused webinars. And this is when we're beginning with you the discussion of what a 3-layer structure of New Zealand Pony Club could or would look like. What does your area look like? And this is full consultation with NZPCA. From this meeting tonight, we do have an exit survey where we want your members, not just your clubs, not just your branches, not just your area, to tell us what they think. Do they support a 3-layer change? Does the membership wish to remain with the current layers of 4 layers, or do they want to go with a 3-layer system? So that is our big focus of tonight. And it's really important because at the 5th of June at the board meeting, the board have to decide if they are going to continue with a 3-layer system and deliver a constitution based on a 3-layer system, or are they going to go, okay, we consulted, we got it wrong, we heard things, but maybe we just heard the loudest people in the room who said they were volunteer burnout, and we'll carry on with a 4-layer system. We're not saying if you've got a 3-layer system at the moment, so you've got club, area, New Zealand Pony Club, that you have to change. It would just be the same, because a lot of your area is already club, area, New Zealand Pony Club. So you're already, a lot of you, operating in a 3-layer system. So potentially limited change. But that 5th of June board meeting, the board need to decide, because they then need to finalise what they're going to give you on July 1st. So I'm just going to message my husband to come and get all of these animals. They're annoying me. Does anyone else have that problem?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've just messaged him, come and get all the animals. It's like, I'm surprised there's no horse in here. So on July 1st, why July is important is because we've got to send out 30 days before the AGM anything we're presenting. So that is where you'll get the constitution that's going to be voted on. That is where anything about board elections all comes out. That is where we send out information about postal voting. So if there's something in that needs to change in the constitution, we need to know now. So if we sent out the constitution in July and it wasn't what people want, we'd come to August, everyone would vote on it, and if it was a no, we'd be in a pickle, because we wouldn't have enough time for a rewrite and a new SGM to adopt it and then work. We could do it, but it would be very tight, especially for clubs and branches. That's why we need to know June that we've got it right or we've got it wrong. Any questions on that? Is that quite clear? I just got another animal. It's just, I must be like the Pied Piper tonight. At your AGMs, of course, your area gets 1 vote at the AGM, and your clubs get up to 3 votes based on their riding members' numbers. And their riding member numbers were based at March. So later on, I'm going to show you your riding member numbers from March. I know they may have changed, but we take them each year at March for the AGM. And to get your vote of how your area is going to vote on your behalf, the clubs will feed that into the area, and the clubs will decide at the normal monthly meeting. And if you are Marlborough Club with 3 branches, you will ask your branches how they want to vote and vote on their behalf at the AGM. There are no proxy votes at the AGM, so you can't go and say, oh, well, we're going to give our vote. So Reefton can't give its vote to Nelson Bays. It's, if you can't be there, it's an electronic vote, and that will come out in July. So in August, after the AGM, whatever constitution we've presented to you, be it 3 layers or 4 layers, we will submit to the incorporated societies and get it accepted, and at the same time be working on the layers underneath. And if it's a 3-layered structure, we'd be working with you in August and September to what does it look like, full support, any merging, any changing, full support, hoping that between October and March you would have had your SGMs, you would have adopted it, you would have given it to NZPCA for final approval, because in a constitution you can't change things without the approval of the board. That's like quorums and things like that, and we won't expect any quorum reductions in our first year, because of course you'll all be at the level required for the new Incorporated Societies Act. The deadline for the Incorporated Societies is the 5th of April. If you haven't submitted on the 6th of April, you apparently cease to exist as an organisation, an incorporated society organisation, and you know, we'd have to work really quickly to get you in. On that date, though, if you are not incorporated, we will be starting to work with the registrar to get any pony club assets, because we won't know if you're continuing or not. And part of New Zealand Pony Club is that we're all incorporated. It has been proposed that there is a National Gypsy Day changeover date if we were doing a structure change. Any questions on that one? Okay. You can ask questions anytime. I can always come back to. So this is the current layers of New Zealand Pony Club. So we've got our 15 areas. We've got 87 branches, which are a combination of clubs, 87 clubs. 87 clubs that are a mixture of clubs with underneath that have branches. There's 137 branches, 38 branches out of the 87 sub-clubs, and there's also clubs without branches throughout New Zealand Pony Club. And in your region, you've got all of your clubs without branches, apart from Marlborough, who's got 3 branches underneath it. So here's our areas of New Zealand Pony Club. And you can see in the South Island, we've got 4. You guys are rather large and long. And sorry, I've only been to Blenheim and Nelson. But there you are compared with the rest of the country. Also, no area is the same size. No area has the same amount of clubs or branches or membership. So it's a really different, not one size fits all organisation. And that is why we're meeting with you. Okay, in my area, some questions that you may have or might have had. Will your club lose its identity? No, we do not imagine that your club would lose its identity. If there was any changing or anything like that, we imagine that you would retain your names, your uniforms, and your traditions. Have any of you merged before?
Well, Nelson would have, because we all used to be branches. Back when I was
Yeah.
a member, we're all clubs now.
Okay, yeah. So is this about closing clubs? It's not our focus, but if a club is not a size of being operational, we will have to look at it. And because clubs must have currently 15 members, and it's written 15 members of which 8 are adults. It is inferred that 7 need to be youth under 25 riding members, and that will be changing in the Constitution no matter what the structure. We need to make sure it remains as a youth-focused organisation with the purpose of Pony Club. It's not about reducing events. You can still run your events. You actually don't need to be an incorporated society to run events. There's ESNZ. ESNZ is completely different than us. It doesn't have a structure where everyone is an incorporated society underneath it. It's optional. So you might have some area groups like Taronga Show Jumping is incorporated, where Taronga Dressage isn't. The difference is Taronga Show Jumping can go for vast amounts of funding. Taronga Dressage cannot, but they can still run their every few months dressage days. But for us in Pony Club, we've chosen to be incorporated, but we do not see that running an event, you could run it collectively as a group of people. It doesn't necessarily need an incorporated structure to run an event unless you're going for lots of funding and things like that. We're really about focusing where the riders spend the majority of their Pony Club journey. So we really want to look at where the riders start and ensure that we've got support across those layers and we've got consistency across those layers. What happens to your assets? Well, all your assets, I'll come back to you, Marie. All of your assets remain with your areas and clubs. So at any time in any merger or any closure, all of your assets retain with Pony clubs within your area. If you close or you merge currently, if you merge, your assets go to the club that you merge with. If you close, you come to the board first and foremost and get approval, and you suggest where your assets go, and they normally approve that as long as the assets are remaining with Pony Club. So you cannot go, oh, I'm going to give my assets to the AMP show, or I'm going to give my assets to the cricket club, or I'm going to give my assets to the RDA. Pony Club assets, for the historical reasons of Pony Club, must remain with Pony Club, and that is in the current constitution. Marie, you had a question. I can read it in the chat. Confirming those 7 members are under 25, 7 youth members, yes. So our Pony Club is 25 years and under. So that's something that's also changing in the Constitution, is to align with ESNZ. The rider will have its 25th season as the 1st of August. So that will be 25 years and under. Terry, you've got your hand up.
With the assets, you say that assets would have to remain with Pony clubs, but if you've got joint gear with an AMP, how would that reflect with head office?
So I guess we'd have to look at how you have joint gear with the AMP.
50-50 shares in jump ends or jump rails or...
Oh, okay. So you've over time bought gear with them.
Yeah, previously, yeah, not recently.
So you'd have to look at what the asset is worth now and decide if it's depreciated enough to actually be of a value, or if it's, you know, if it's low value, go, okay, it's low, and because we've done that, we'd have to talk with you and go, yeah, we agree with that or not. So that would be a case by case, I assume. But I'm meaning like you and your pony club bank account of your own have thousands of dollars, you can't then go and gift those thousands of dollars to the AMP. Or if you've got jump trailer, that's your asset and your asset alone, and it's worth $10,000 and it's still in good condition. So, you know, you paid 10,000, it might be worth 7, sell it to the AMP for $500. That type of thing. Okay, Jenny, you're typing, or
I'll just say it then if I don't put my hand up. Like, so you're saying that, so we're taking out branches.
No, I'm not saying we're taking out branches. You guys have to decide that, but yep, carry on.
Okay, yep. Is there any consideration to clubs? You're saying that members have to be, you have to have over 15 members. Like Murchison have like 3 members, but for them to join Waimea, they have to drive an hour and a half each way to go to Pony Club. 3 hours. And our Pony Club starts at 1:30 and finishes like in the winter. It's, you know, like, has there been thought to like, has there been a distance?
Yeah, and we'll get to that too, but we can't, the Incorporated Society tells us what the minimum number for a club is. So yeah, so it's not on us, it's on the Incorporated Society, and it actually says 10 officers. So 10 officers is 10 adults. We're currently going with 15 members, of which 8 must be adults. So, you know, there are clubs that we know, like yourself, and it's the same in the King Country, that may struggle for that. So we need to have conversations around what that looks like. You know, I don't want to see those pony clubs go either. I don't want to see it, because you're catering for a need, and let's work as much as we can together before April 2026 to see what we can do. You know, is there, what can we do? So let's talk about that. But the number is dedicated by the Incorporated Societies. So, you know, will we be able to host events? Absolutely. The everyday running of your club and the intermediate layer would remain the same. Events, camp, and everything you do should not be affected if you removed a layer. And so many of you are already operating with a 3-layer structure. So if you are already operating in a 3-layer structure, be it, this is the time to decide if it's the right structure, but if you're already operating as New Zealand Pony Club area and then your club, nothing would change. But you might go, actually, our area is not quite the right area and we're quite big and want to move around. So that's what these discussions are about. So you might decide collectively, we're sticking the same way. As I said, why now? After many years of people suggesting it, it was time to bring it back on the table. I don't know if anyone sitting in this room, I was very new to Pony Club, so I don't recall it. I remember signing my name on the Incorporated Society things and submitting it. But in 2011, when they changed from a committee of management to a elected board with 5 elected members and 2 appointed, they also at the same time went around the country, it was Ann Atkins and Nikki Williams, and suggested removing the club layer then. At the time, they decided to focus on one after all the feedback, and that was going from a committee of management to a board, and that they would review this in the future. As I said earlier, we've had people come to us and go, review it again. There's not enough volunteers. There's too many layers. I'm on the branch committee, the club committee, the area committee, plus life. We have exit surveys. We know that people only answer surveys when they want to often tell us what we're not doing great, but our exit survey suggested as well, and our last year's annual review survey really said that people wanted to focus on the grassroots and the branches. So this is why we're reviewing it, and this is why we're having these meetings. As I said, this is consultation, and we're following a democratic process. So if the membership votes and goes, we don't want this, or we don't like this, we want to know sooner rather than later, so we don't present something at AGM that no one likes and says no. And someone said to me, oh, you know, you'd be sad if that happened. No, because I've got to meet you all. We've got to have a conversation. We've got to focus on Pony Club and have those conversations like we will with those small pony clubs about how we can support you. How can we get you constitutionally over the line? I've actually got a suggestion as well. I've got a club. I know that when we did the incorporated last time, we signed up all the nanas, granddads, aunties, and uncles just to get across the line at my pony club. Oops, shouldn't say that, but that's what we did. In my area, when we're talking about today, this is particularly being really a hot topic in a couple of areas up north that are very close to each other: Auckland, Franklin, Thames Valley, Waitemata, Rodney. Are the area boundaries still what we need today? You know, do we need to look at our areas and do some division? Do we need to create new areas? Had a really great suggestion from the middle of the North Island. That King Country's tiny. You know, should there be a new area in the middle with Taupo, King Country, Taihape, Tokoroa, and called Central Plateau? It's just an idea that someone put out there, but it's like, this is your opportunity. Is your branch or club youth focused, and is it providing for the purpose of Pony Club? And that will be on the slide in a minute. Does my branch or club have enough members to operate? And you know, we do track numbers. We do send emails, and please don't be insulted if you ever get an email saying, hey, we're noticing that your numbers are low, because I did that recently to another club and today they've got 0 and they've gone. I can't contact them. You know, we don't want that to happen. It's awful, because then their assets are frozen in a world out there. Just found out about a club that closed about 10 years ago, and apparently they've got 50,000 in the bank. Unless we can find who are the signatories of that bank account, there's nothing that that area can do. That area's missing $50,000. Is my branch or club in the right area? Is it time to move to a different area? We've had that conversation as well with clubs. I've got some clubs going, you know, the next area's pony club is 5 minutes away, but they're in Auckland and I'm in Franklin, Thames Valley. Do we actually need Franklin District? They are the questions that we've been having. It might not relate to you. I don't know. The purpose of Pony Club. So this will be in all constitutions. So this is what New Zealand Pony Club's here to do. So it's here to be the national body to promote and foster Pony Club events and activities, mainly as an amateur sport. It's here to assist its members in delivering education through the NZPCA certificate system. Jenny, just thinking of back to your club as well, you know, you could come to us and go, hey, can you do what America has done, and can you make Pony Club open to all ages? Pony Club in America, there's no age limit. So I just did the Pony Club virtual dressage last year, and in the level 2 test, I had an 80-year-old in the competition. You know,
cool.
But they were here for the Pony Club focus of the education, the certificate systems. So I'll let you have a little read of that, of what our aims are. That will be on the slides for you as well. If we've got something not there and you think we should, please also let us know. Okay, so if we were looking at a 3-layer system, and this is probably what you have got if you're a club already, club area national, we've just called it the administrative layer, because when we first started, we of course talked about the word cluster and hub, and we really confused people, but we needed to have something different than area when we were talking about reducing a layer. So we know that the national layer, our purpose is to set the vision, the values, the strategy for New Zealand Pony Club right across the country. It's to ensure that there's consistency in the standards, oversee the national competitions with our hosts, manage national partnerships, maintain the policies and frameworks for safety, education, and certification pathways. Down at our lower level, our club level, club/branch, we're really looking at this as the foundation of the Riders Pony Club experience. This is where they go, where they spend their time, where they receive their instruction, where they work towards the certificates if that's what they're focusing on. It's where they build their community. So this is the regular rallies, the coaching and developing safe and capable riders, volunteers, horses, ponies, coaches. And so that middle layer, which you currently know as area, is that governance and oversight, acting as that intermediary between the clubs and national bodies, supporting the local implementation and the national policies, the development of and support of the extension of the riders beyond the club, including those area champs, training camps, talent pathways, inter-club events. It's the sharing of resources, potentially could look, that sharing of funding applications if you're doing area funding applications, the ownership of shared resources if you had shared resources across multiple clubs. Some areas do. The best practice forums, so that platform for committee members to share governance and operational knowledge. So we see that removing an administrative layer of the incorporated societies would reduce the volunteer burden. So yeah, we want to see committees full and people coming up through, and also looking at like the system of renewal. So we've got people learning. Okay, so on to you guys. So basically, thanks heaps. At our introduction webinars, we had 69% of your community come along. So that was representation from 69% of the clubs or branches. I couldn't get a shot just of your area in the South Island. And here are your club numbers as of March 2025. And I am aware that Golden Bay's numbers have changed in upwards. I'm aware that Nelson's Bay's numbers are different now too. And I'm also aware that Westport's numbers are different and they've got more under 25s currently today. But I have to take it as March 2025. Your AGM voting numbers come from the riding members under 25. So that's where your votes come from. So this is how you're currently structured. So as I said earlier, you're basically already a 3-layer club system, and you are the complete opposite of your neighbours in the deep south, where they have one club and everyone else is a club with branches underneath. So it's really completely different. This is completely throughout the whole country. Any questions on that slide? Have I got it right? I hope so. Is it a common, sorry. I'm happy for people to, because I have to click out to the chat to see these. Is it a common problem that there aren't many parents and volunteers available due to work commitments, what prevents a lot of hands-on that was previously given? I guess that's probably one of the reasons why we struggle with volunteers, is that, and it's not just New Zealand Pony Club, that as New Zealand, we are time poor. And worldwide, this will get you guys, worldwide, there's a decline in sports, and particularly youth sports. So it is a big focus of Sports NZ, but it doesn't answer how do you get parents involved, especially in a sport that needs a lot of hands-on. And we definitely need a parent with every under 18 due to the sports. Okay, so these next slides are just scenarios of me playing with numbers, because I'm honest here, I don't know your area at all. I had to use Google Maps to help me a lot, so it might be incorrect. These were just scenarios of what it could look like for you if you were going for a complete 3-layer structure. So basically, if you were retaining, it's the bottom one here, if you were retaining Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast as the intermediate layer, and that would be your decision to go, okay, we actually really want to keep Marlborough, Nelson and West Coast together, and so that will be layer 1. And then what do you do here? So it's only 1, 2, 3 layers. One of the suggestions would be that everyone becomes a club in their own right. So Awatere, Blenheim and Marshlands would become clubs, and if you wanted to retain the name, it could be Marlborough, Awatere or something like that to keep that name. But all of 3 of them are more than able to stand alone by themselves as an independent club based on those numbers from March. But these are only numbers, so I don't know about venues, I don't know about the structure. Of course, remembering pony clubs can be nomadic. They don't have to have a venue. You could go around all over the countryside. Secondly, the areas. Can I get guys to actually just read, because I'm struggling to read the chat. And so Christine, do you want to say yours out?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I just think that the Marlborough, I mean, having gone up to the eventing champs, it's a heck of a long drive from Hokitika, Greymouth area. You flick across the pass to Canterbury, and in the past, I believe it was Canterbury Westland, as opposed to the 5 or 6 hours to go north to Marlborough Equestrian Park. It's just not in today's world. Having your area further away, and it's a long journey for anybody when you want to go and do any competitions from the West Coast. I know that because we do it as much as we humanly can from Hokitika. So I think the particular area is too truncated by being and having the northern branch. That's just my point of view. I think that we're more closely aligned with Canterbury.
Okay, and that's these discussions that you have here, and there's nothing stopping that these discussions are part of it. Like my area, Katikati Pony Club, they're wanting to move from Bay of Plenty into the Coromandel, into Thames, because this is that perfect opportunity. You're saying, how do we decide to, how would we start those conversations? As soon as we knew which constitution layer we're going for, if we're going for a change, we can start that conversation then. We can even start that conversation even if we don't change the constitution. There are conversations that we can have, and we can have those together with the area. And that's actually on the next slide. So,
great, thank you.
Yeah. So if you, I'll jump to it. I'll just finish this one. If you decided that Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast was the area that you wanted to stay, but you wanted to keep Marlborough as a focus, and I pulled this as I said, example only for presentation. I pulled Awatere up there to the club layer. They're like, oh, actually, we're going to go it alone. We're going to be a club, but Blenheim and Marshlands could be a venue of the Marlborough Pony Club. So it's really up to you what structure you'd be. In this scenario, the common question is, if this happened on this scenario or this scenario here, what happens with the Marlborough funds? Well, the Marlborough funds would be distributed between the 3 branches that it had of Awatere, Blenheim and Marshlands, based on the number of riders it has and based on a percentage based. So we'd work with you to make sure that that distribution was fair, just as the current closing structure would be, even though it wouldn't be closing. Someone could easily keep the Marlborough name if they wanted to for the historical purposes, and that's been like the scenario of a merger, like in Northland, Monganui is the merger of our Nui and Kaitaia, and they have a venue at Awanui and Kaitaia, and their council allows it. Now, every council is different, and I don't know what your council is like. So I can't say that your council would love this or not like this. So that would be if you're trying to keep 3 layers, you've got New Zealand Pony Club, then the area, and then you've got your clubs and then some venues. Or as Christine was just saying right now, our area is far too big. And I could have these in the wrong places, as I said, Google Maps. You know, you are a large area, and you could look at having 3 sub hubs, clusters. The riders would still they could still ride for Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast, or you could have that breakaway. It's up to you. I don't live in your area, so I don't know. So as I said, I use Google Maps, and I don't know if I'm in the right places or not. But you could also have that, and that would mean the area funds, if you had area funds, would once again be distributed down to Nelson, West Coast, and Marlborough, or there would be nothing stopping a breakaway over to Canterbury or formation of your own area.
So just under that structure there, if you went with something like that, if you were going to champs, there'd be a Nelson team, a West Coast team, and a Marlborough team.
Potentially, we haven't. We love what you guys did. We love the fact that you had individuals, and you sent a lot of individuals, and you had a team. Some of the discussions around TNE at the moment is, you guys are, you know, you're in the front of the pack. Some people are like, oh no, we would never do that. But if you sent people who have got their NQSs, but not necessarily everyone's a part of the team, and based on results, who is going to be in the team for that competition. So, you know, like badminton last week, if you were making a traditional team, you might have Tim, Janelle, and Carolyn. But actually, the people who did best, if you said, okay, we're actually not having our team, it's based on our top 3 New Zealanders that ride, it would have been Tim, Tanya, and I don't know who got third, but it would be based on that. There's lots of ideas about how to keep our events alive in line with this, but you know, you could still go, actually, no, we're still going to ride for Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast, just like you did. So you're still the minions. Never going to lose that image in my mind. We're still riding for Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast, but we're under because that's where we live, that's our region, but our actual pony club areas are Nelson, West Coast, and Marlborough. These are all the discussions. We need your feedback and thoughts.
So that would be a 4-layer system.
No, because the area is not incorporated. So you can't, Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast is not a incorporated society. So Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast would be we're riding under it because that's the region we live in, but our incorporated societies are Nelson, West Coast, and Marlborough. So if I'm sending people for teams and they've been ticked off, they've got their NQS, Nelson would be ticking them off, West Coast would be ticking them off, Marlborough would be ticking them off, but they're wearing the Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast traditional colours.
Can I speak?
Raise your
hand. Yeah, looking at that model would I personally feel it would be really sad to lose the areas, because I think most areas, you know, to get their representative teams, and we may have had a lot of individuals at champs, but they were qualified riders, and we would have had more teams had we had more riders available to make the mix. It wasn't about the teams, wasn't about having individual riders. We just didn't have the mix right to make more teams. Mm-hmm. The other thing is too, breaking it down into, and this is not just our area that is feeling this as well, is breaking it down, say, into the 3 different pieces actually creates a lot more administration for those, like that Nelson, West Coast, and Marlborough. You're just replicating what area does. So instead, it's actually increasing the workload a whole lot more for the few people that are doing it. At the moment, our area is working really well how it was, calling that middle tier, which is the area, being the admin hub, I guess, because that's what it really is in our area. It works well like that. I guess at the moment, the biggest thing is just really what Marlborough want to do with their branches, and or whether they decide to go to be clubs on their own or not.
Yeah, and I'm not saying one works better than the other. And you're right, Penny. Most people's feedback is that they like the area, and the good thing about this is it's making everyone aware of what the area is and supporting the area and helping the areas be more functional. You're right, because this would replicate. Oh, sorry. This has next one here. This has more work, but they've broken away. But there's nothing stopping anyone in this model going, actually, we're in the wrong area and we're going to pop over, we're in the wrong area. We want to go the other way versus up. We want to go left versus right or up. So that could also work as well.
I was only asking the question because I suspect that when I front up to the next meeting, somebody's going to ask me about that. So.
It's a common question. In Wellington, there's discussions of the bottom ones of Waitemata of Marlborough, Manawatu West Coast popping down into Wellington. There's also the same in Napier, the bottom ones of the Hawke's Bay popping down into Wairarapa, Wellington. So this is the conversation, Taupo becoming part of the Central Plateau. So this is a common conversation. And if we have this conversation now, at least it's putting it out there. And I think that you guys did a great job at Champs and you have got a functional area. So I can't come in and say, this is what you should do, this or this, because we've got to show a balanced structure of going, oh, could you make this work? And in some situations, I've got some clubs going, well, actually, that's what we want. We want to look like that. So as I said, it's not one size fits all for everyone. But, for the majority of you, apart from Marlborough, you're already in a 1-2-3 system, 1-2-3 system. It's just your Marlborough clubs that aren't, and they might go, actually, we like what we're doing. We want to stay with the 4-tier system. Yes, Penny.
Yes. So I just wanted to ask you, just to clarify, when you were talking about the clubs needing to have the 15 members, what is the story with branches? Because we do 15. Have the clubs that I don't think really want to fold. For example, Westport, Murchison, even not sure what Reefton's got, or they might have enough there. So is there? What is the story with branches for the minimum number of members?
Exactly the same.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly the same. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're a branch or if you're a club, it's exactly the same. If you've got an incorporated society, you have to fulfill that. And currently that must have been 8 adults, where I don't know if it's someone pointed out to me, Stan, that it says in the incorporated society it's 10 officers. So 10 officers sounds like 10 over 18-year-olds, but we have to Todd was just getting that clarified, but he hasn't answered my question tonight. If that includes, are we including 7-year-olds as officers or not? Because if it was only 10 in total, that's a little bit nicer. But as you can see, we don't come in and go, okay, you're a bit low, you're not constitutional, we're closing you down. But we don't have any options because we're all having to submit reincorporated society, new incorporated society constitutions with the current act on the 5th of April. So we can't run away from it. We can't hide from it. It's just something that's there that we have to do.
That's where the venues option could work nicely for those more remote clubs or branches.
Yeah, and that's happening, as I said, in Monganui. It's also happening in South Otago. South Otago was the club, but Clutha, Owaka, and Clinton all merged and became venues. And people say to me, so how does the venues work? They just sit there and go, okay, in our rally plan or our plan, we're going to have that rally out there. We've got one committee, one pool of coaches, but it's bigger. But one thing they do have to do is have people who are prepared to keep the venues ticking over and the maintenance on the venues and things like that. And also budget for the maintenance on the venue, like you'd budget on the maintenance of your venue now in your club if you've got multiple venues, budgeting for that, and you'd have to check in with the councils that they were happy with that concept. Does anyone own their own properties or their own land in Marlborough, Nelson, West Coast? Are any of these on personal owned land? Yes, Christina?
Well, that was a question that I was going to ask us anyway. Not knowing who owns what. For example, with Greymouth, we are co-leases with another group who also share the cost of leasing the grounds from the Grey District Council. So we own nothing apart from some jump stands and some jumps and bits and pieces. The pavilion was fundraised to be rebuilt alongside the Grey District Council. So Greymouth actually has very little in the way of stuff. It has jumps and it has some people who certainly put a lot of time in, but we don't own anything.
What about like monetary money in the bank?
There's not much, no. Not a great deal.
So that so your jumps, it would be like that's there's still jumps there and there's a little bit of money in the bank, but that's your assets and things like that. But if you don't own things, you don't own things. But is there anyone, like where I live, one of our pony clubs owns its own property because it was bought for them and set up for them in the 70s, and they own it. And see, our number one priority is that they will remain a pony club, even if we have to, whatever we do, we have to help them become, we have to help them with membership, we have to help them retain that, because we do not want to be losing land that's particularly owned by Pony Club.
It's certainly a risk that, or in the old SWOT analysis, it is definitely a threat, in as much as the council jurisdiction could change and they could quickly reassume the desire to alter the status of the lands that we use. So how much of that is being factored in with the
I can't factor that in because I don't know your councils. I'd have to know every single council in New Zealand. That's where we need you.
Oh no, I didn't mean that you had to understand the council. It was more of an understanding that there could be some tenuous nature of tenure is the word that one would use on some of these pony club grounds.
Yep, that's the current happening right now all the time, and that's one thing about Pony Club. I know that it's happened where I've lived, and even when I was a kid in Taumarunui, we changed grounds often because we lost a council ground and then we went to a farm for a bit. So a Pony Club can be nomadic. A Pony Club does not have to have its named venue and this is where we're staying. So I guess, if you lost your grounds and you were in Greymouth, what other options? Is there a farm down the road? Is there a beach to go and do something? Is there an AMP? Those options, and that's what people are doing. I also know that one of my clubs in Auckland, it's a grazing facility and it's losing its land because they want to put a men's shed on it. So they have to come to that realization, but they'd have to do that without a restructure proposal, no matter what. And it's awful and it's sad, and it's just we try and work with councils when people have issues with councils, but a letter from us saying this is a Pony Club's important and the reasons why, and send the facility reviews and try and help as much as we can. But yeah, it's a tough one. We actually had a workshop on it in Auckland 2 years ago about venues and the risk of venues, and then the positives that venues brought that people don't think about. Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily thinking that Greymouth is at risk.
No,
at
I
this
know.
point
No.
in time.
Yeah. So does anyone here have grazing? any of these along here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Westport used to have, so I'm guessing that they still do. Yeah.
Do they own their own property, or is that on a leased property? Do you know, Penny?
No, I think it's all was leased, but they had quite a substantial amount of land because they had a fairly good cross country there as well. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what their situation is at the moment.
Yeah, so basically for you guys, it's the discussion of, do you support a 3-layer structure, which most of you are operating in currently here anyway. And, you know, let's go back one. Sorry, going wrong way. You're already basically a 3-layer structure, apart from if it did come in as being a 3-layer structure, it would be that discussion about round Marlborough and 3 branches and what that would look like. Okay, so no questions on anything else there. You know, so we did look at the hubs. So as I said, this is consultation. If you felt that we are on the wrong track, because also in the Constitution we have tried to refine the judiciary process and being less on the areas, clubs and branches to solve judicial matters like disputes, working in consultation with them, but going through a lot of policies and, you know, does this actually fit in Pony Club? Is this a Pony Club issue? Is it a civil issue? And so that's in the new constitution. We have also refined talking about the membership categories to make it clearer that there would be adult members. Adult members are the ones that don't have children. So you might start as a guardian member with a child under 18. And when your child becomes 18, you become an adult member. Same rights and everything, but you've just got a different name to distinguish who's a parent of a child in Pony Club. We have also got in there the suggestion that removing the NZPCA president role and vice president role. There's a little bit of conversation about that. So if you are concerned about any of those, they definitely need to be in the feedback that we get from you by the end of May. And I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and get the right website. Oh no, I forgot that one. Sorry. Share again. Sorry. So what's your role in all of this? We need you to share information with your club branch, and you are the areas. We need you to ask questions. We need you to discuss this openly with your community, particularly the ones that weren't here, because I don't think we didn't have representation from every club, did we, tonight? We didn't. Did we have someone from everywhere? No Westport.
I didn't think we had Marlborough either.
We're here.
Yeah, Michelle.
Michelle,
Yeah.
Trish, Kerry. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got.
We don't actually have Murchison. I was
Yeah,
just asking.
Murchison, and not sure about Reefton, and not sure about Westport. I don't think anyone's from those.
So no Reefton, no Westport, no
Is anyone from
Murchison.
Nelson Bays?
And yeah.
No.
No.
So it's yep, sorry. So it's trying to get that information to them, and I did send every single member in the Marlborough Nelson West Coast numbers of the emails, and they will get the slides, but it's to get those. And this is also part of it. It's like, what is a club when the purpose of Pony Club? So when we looked at that purpose of Pony Club up here, what comes into it? You know, actual participation at your area meetings or your area events, and at your helping out and being part of it. So that is definitely part of the purpose of Pony Club, of being here and participating. Yes, Amy.
Oh, kia ora. Hey, just coming back to the bit you talked about before, because I've read through the questions and answers, but I hadn't come across the bit you talked about changing the president or vice president role. Can you expand on that?
So that goes into more detail in here on our first constitution slides. In the first webinar, they talked about that, about the role of the president, so officers. So instead of having so currently we have a president as a figurehead, so that's David as a figurehead, and he comes around and he comes to events and he gives out ribbons and rosettes, and sometimes like does openings and that. Great guy, absolutely amazing. So that's a leftover from the committee of management, and the board just wondered if it's time that president responsibility was more now the CE's responsibility, but also looking at a national patron, because our patrons, we've got 2 patrons. We've got one who's really active. I think she's from your area. She's great. She gives us stuff. Not gives us stuff, but gives us feedback and that. But we've got another patron who is slightly older, doesn't necessarily engage as much, and having a patron on the ground. So if you had someone like David who was the patron on the ground and you invited them along, so that was just one of the considerations of the summary of changes. So there's the changes, the membership, disputes, and the officers. So yeah, so that's on the website where we were going to go next anyway. So yeah, I need you guys to get this out into your community and then submit feedback, and all the information is here on the website under resources constitution update, and you've got all the meetings that have been held so far and their recording, so yours will have a little underneath it, and these are the ones coming up, so you can come along to any of these at any time. Anytime. Emily, you've got your hand up.
This is not necessarily directly related to what you're discussing at the moment, but I went to the meeting at Wellington Airport
a
couple of months ago, and we haven't really discussed this since, because everybody's been so busy with champs. But at that meeting, there was a proposal that the area level may not necessarily be incorporated. Is that, have we moved away from that now?
Yeah, completely. We've decided that you guys could decide what you wanted to look like, and I have to tell you, the area, everyone wants to keep area so far. So Northland wants to keep there as the area, so that's why we've moved away from the words of hubs and clusters, and that's why when we're talking with you, saying it's up to you, so it's going to come on in a second, what area you want to retain. And it seems that most areas are very keen to keep their area, but it's also a nice reminder to go, okay, you want to keep your area, what are the functions of the area, how does your area work? But it's also a nice reminder to your clubs that your area is there as that layer and to support them in a way.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So all of it's on here on the website. You can take the survey here at the end of the session. So it's a little survey, and it just gives us feedback. We want everyone who's here to be doing it. You don't have to put your name in. You don't have to put your email. You can if you've got a question and you want it answered. Otherwise, I won't know who to send back to. The only thing that's compulsory is what area you're from, and your role. And do you support the idea of a structural rechange for reducing the number of layers? Strongly support, all the way down to not sure or strongly opposed. And then if you've got questions, and next. And that will just help us guide, will help the board guide if they're in the right, if they're in the right way or not. And that's Emily. They definitely found out that they weren't in the right way of just saying the area didn't need to be incorporated. So that was some feedback. We've got review questions here. So we've got the Constitution review questions. There's lots of questions there. I think there's like 23 pages of current questions. What else have we got? So that's all there for you to go and have a look. And at the bottom, you've got the different constitutions. So we'd love you to go and check that out. And before we go, I'm going to give you one more thing. If you're thinking about coming to AGM, we'd love you to be there, because based on this page, as we said, Marlborough Nelson has 1 vote, Golden Bay, Kaikoura, Marlborough, Motueka, all of you all get to vote in the AGM. So if you're not going to be there in person, definitely the electronic vote, but I am doing a little push for the, where is it? The AGM, because the AGM, big, huge changes from previous years, that we used to have area forums where only one person from the area could speak and one could observe. We are now having a national forum, so that is open to all to come along, open to all to submit items of business. There we go, items of business. We are going to have so many presentations and practical workshops that at that branch and club level, there's going to be more. We're going to have so much choice, you're going to be annoyed with us because you won't be able to do it all. If you want a funding application for conference, we can help with a conference letter, the notice of AGM, and an invitation. And that's in Christchurch. So we'd love to see some of you there. And if you are in Christchurch for that time and you only want to come to the AGM is free. It's from 9 to 10 on the Sunday. But we're really hoping that we get lots of people. We're also hoping that some of you will get some awards in for your people and some AGM items, not AGM items, don't want any AGM items, but National Forum items, or, have a look here, have a look, get to know it. We're definitely going for practical user information from conference. And while you're there, you can also check out our new page. I'm rather proud of this page, horse welfare. So, yeah. But basically, that's what we'd love you to do to help us out to get the messaging out there. But as I said, if you do or you don't support the idea, please give us your feedback, because we'll take that feedback and we'll be deciding, are we going down this route or are we not? Are we on the wrong track? If we're not on the right track, you'll be getting a constitution, and some of you are 3 layers already. Yeah. So that's basically, at the moment, we're fundraising at a national. At the moment, we have fundraising at a national level, area level, and then at a club level. Would that change under a 3-tier structure? I'm unsure what that means. Sorry, Amy.
Sorry, I was just thinking at the moment, the incorporation at each of those levels allows us to fundraise individually. And when you were talking about the power of having an area and removing the branches layer, and one of the key points under that was the fundraising piece. Yep. And I was just wondering if that would affect the club's ability, or I guess the question is, it shouldn't affect the club's ability to independently fundraise, or would we be relying on
it shouldn't. I don't know what it's like in your area. I do go to some workshops and they say funding is getting less and it's getting harder, but there's nothing stopping the area funding, going for a funding application now for area teams or area camps and things like that, or area travel. And remember, you've got us. You've got your own regional sports authorities as well, and they often have funding for travel, for national travel. And see, my funding that I go for is national funding, and I don't think that has an effect on anyone else's funding. So we've just got a whole heap of funding towards Coaches Conference. So we've been able to give $50 off to every participant to come to Coaches Conference because of our funding. And I don't think it's stopped anyone else going and getting funding from pub charities this month.
Yeah, yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's a different level. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see some of you at Coaches Conference because we've made it $50 cheaper. So, but conference, the big conference, we've kept the price actually lower than other years, and we've worn the nominate fee ourselves just to try and get people there. We know it's so important. And sorry, before you ask, the AGM and conference will not be online. I've had people go, can we have it online at the same time? Our organisation owns 3 computers, so it's a little bit outside of my ability. I don't have the technology to support broadcasting our AGM or conference, and we did look into it to get someone professional, and we just couldn't afford it. Just not sustainable. Okay, so no questions, or if you've got questions, please let me know. I will get, you guys are the quickest one yet. We will get those, we'll get the slides out to you and everything. Yeah, if you've got more questions tomorrow, or even if you want to come back to me and go, hey, I've been thinking, what would it look like for us, especially if, you know, if you are a club that's like getting a bit low or a bit small, or you are looking at merging, do come and have a conversation. Don't leave it to the last minute. We're here to help. You know, I can make suggestions of, have you thought about partnering with the local school and getting some school memberships or something like that? I don't know. There's lots of options.
Thank you very much, Lizzie.
You're welcome. It's loved seeing you guys. I missed you so much.
I'm sure you have. No, it was good. This has been really good, and just